among many others. I am not going to rehearse their arguments. However, in this reflection, what I want to do instead is a brief exercise of social analysis to get a better sense of key realities that shape the lives of Hispanics in this country. The more we understand these realities, the better we can anticipate the type of communities that will define Catholic life in our country in this century, as well as the academic and ministerial commitments that most likely will occupy the minds and hearts of Catholic theologians, pastoral leaders, intellectuals, and any other person interested in U.S. Catholicism. Allow me to name 4 urgent realities, developed in detail in a collection of essays that appeared in a recent book that I edited with theologians Elsie Miranda and Brett Hoover, entitled Hispanic Ministry in the 21st Century, Urgent Matters. Poverty. Millions of Hispanics are caught in a vicious cycle of poverty that has historical, racial, and social roots. We cannot dismiss the fact that many geographical regions where Hispanics live, as well as many Hispanic neighborhoods, face major challenges because of poverty and the realities that accompany this social ill. Studies have demonstrated that far too many US-born Hispanics are worse off financially and professionally than many Hispanic immigrants. Many Hispanic populations, particularly in large urban settings, have not experienced economic or social growth in decades. We find this among Puerto Ricans in the Northeast. We find it among Mexican Americans in the Southwest. Many Hispanic immigrants, particularly those who lack basic educational skills and access to professional development, and millions of immigrants without a regular migratory status, live in situations of permanent vulnerability. Material poverty in the richest nation of the world is a crude reality for the majority of Hispanics in this country. Statistically speaking, about 2/3 of Hispanics live in poverty or very close to the poverty level. About 1/3 lives below the poverty level, which the federal government estimates in 2019 at $25,750 for a family of 4. I bet that graduate students have more in your bank accounts than a family like this. Another 1/3 of Hispanics live slightly above that poverty line, which we know it means de facto poverty, whether you make $35,000 or $45,000 raising a family of 4. We know this because many Hispanics concentrate in urban settings throughout the country, and the cost of life in such settings increases regularly. It is true also that there is an emerging middle upper class among Hispanics, which holds promise for the church and society. Unfortunately, the Catholic Church in this country has not yet figured out how to engage this portion of the Latino population. In turn, these Hispanics must develop a stronger sense of solidarity with the rest of their sisters and brothers in the church and beyond. What can we conclude from this observation? That the invitation from Pope Francis to be a church that is poor for the poor comes naturally in the context of the Latino Hispanic community in this country. And as Latinos become increasingly the majority of Catholics in this country, this is going to be a reality for the entire church in the United States. 2, I want to call this the curse of low educational attainment. Perhaps the most evident weakness among Hispanics in the United States is the persisting levels of, or low levels of educational attainment. There is no doubt that progress has been made, especially at the level of high school graduation. In just 2 decades, if we start in the year 2000, Hispanic young people went from a high school graduation rate of less than 50% to one of nearly 80% today. And that is fascinating. That is a major accomplishment that is supposed to place Hispanics in a position of readiness for college education and professional life. However, that progress remains very slow, and it's not matching the urgency of a highly educated Hispanic workforce, both in church and in society. Barely 18% of Hispanic adults has a college degree. Compare that to 55% of white Catholics with college degrees today, adult Catholics, no? So, and Asians have a college degree level of attainment of 53% in general. Of the still small number of Hispanics who make a decision to go to college, about half go to 2-year community colleges, and actually most never complete that education. Most Hispanic children and youth are growing up in homes where there is none or at least one college-educated adult. And sociological studies indicate that the presence of college-educated parents is one of the strongest factors ensuring, or at least determining, that a young person in this country will consider college education and consequently the path to professionalization. Low educational attainment at the college level also needs to be understood in conjunction with the reality of how and where school-age Hispanic children are being educated. We know that about 94% of Hispanic children in this country attend public schools. Let me say it again. 94% of Hispanic children in this country attend public schools. About 71% of those school-age Hispanic children that attend public schools go to underperforming schools. More than 2/3, almost 3/4, are not prepared to go to college or to succeed in life just because they are going to hyper-segregated and underperforming public schools, okay? So it is estimated that about 8 million of these school-age children are Roman Catholic. Roughly half of all Hispanic kids in this age bracket. Catholic schools barely educate 4% of school-age Catholic children. If we look at this from a historical perspective, let's keep in mind that by the 1950s and 1960s, 55% of white Euro-American children were enrolled in Catholic schools. As Hispanic children and children from other minoritized groups become the majority, and I'm speaking about Catholic children, the Catholic Church in this country closes 7,000 Catholic schools. Notice that the disparity right there. So this is literally mindful that this large number of Hispanic, school-age Hispanic children are Catholic, then this is a Catholic challenge. This is a Catholic problem. This is a Catholic matter. It is sad, however, that many Catholics in this country, especially those at the level of the middle and upper class, including pastoral and educational leaders, fail mightily to see the urgency of this reality or even conceive the impact on the entire Catholic body. If we do not start looking at Hispanic Catholics, particularly Hispanic Catholic young people, as the church in this country, we run the risk of remaining a fragmented church which is how we seem to be operating at this particular time in history. The impact of low educational attainment among Hispanics upon the labor market and leadership opportunities is critical. Without the appropriate educational credentials, it is going to be difficult to see a new, strong, and influential generation of Catholic voices, at least on the Hispanic side, engaged in the most urgent conversations in the public square or in the intellectual life in this country as Catholics. This becomes more urgent at a time when the traditional foundations of American life and culture that make this country distinct among many modern nations are being dismantled little by little, even with the support of particular Catholic perspectives across the ideological spectrum that seem to be at the service of systems instead of the gospel. Without appropriate education levels, Hispanics will not have enough priests, enough bishops, enough brothers and sisters, vowed religious, enough lay ecclesial ministers, enough theologians who represent them in their communities and bring their perspectives into the daily life of Catholic parishes, organizations, dioceses, educational institutions, healthcare units, and other structures that still remain mostly led by white Euro-American Catholics, and in the absence of these white Euro-American Catholics, then a growing number of non-Catholics. We're skipping the Latino population because precisely that lack of leadership. 3, the complex drama of immigration. Dynamics related to immigration, migration, whether immigration, emigration processes, are always charged with an element of drama. There is the drama of those who leave and those who stay behind, the drama of learning a new culture and that of retaining as much as one's original cultural background, the drama of living one's faith in light of how one received a particular religious tradition and the necessary negotiation of ways of living exactly the same faith in a different context and under different expectations. It is estimated that 36% of Hispanics in this country are immigrants. That is about 20 million in total, 20 million. About 70% of these women and men from Latin America and the Caribbean self-identify as Roman Catholic. So there is no doubt that the immigrant church, quote unquote, is as much a reality today as it was only a few decades ago. No, it is not over. No, Catholic immigration is not a phenomenon of interest only to historians. The immigrant church is who we are today in this historical moment. The drama of immigration for many Hispanics is exacerbated by the fact that about 9 million of our Hispanic sisters and brothers live in an irregular migratory status. As such, they are both visible and invisible to a society and church communities that struggle to embrace them in their fullness of their human dignity. These Catholics, because most of them self-identify as such, are one of the most vulnerable groups in our society and in our faith communities. It would be a tremendous scandal for our church as a community of people who claim to believe in Jesus Christ to ignore the cries and the struggles, to turn a blind eye to the injustices and difficulties that these immigrants face day to day, and to fail to respond to their needs and embrace their contributions. It is important that as Catholic communities reflect about embracing our Hispanic immigrant sisters and brothers, as well as immigrants from other nations and cultures, we take a close look at the causes of migration in Latin America and the Caribbean. Some of these causes are critical, in fact, life-threatening. For instance, hunger, violence, poverty, political turmoil, inability to find dignifying work. And these realities call for serious reflection about our Christian commitment to life and justice. Other causes that could be perceived more as procedural or transactional, like family reunification, professional and business opportunities, require the development of structures and strategies to nurture relationships that cultivate the common good. There is an urgent need in our communities for a sense of global solidarity that addresses realities that trigger migration patterns in Latin America and the Caribbean, while exploring ways to ensure that those who live in sending societies have what they need to live in peace in their homes without being forced to leave them. The Hispanic presence, then, provides Catholics in the United States with a unique opportunity to assess to what extent core ethical categories such as life, justice, the common good, solidarity, among others, truly rise beyond the level of being more than buzzwords that embellish our discourses and sermons proffered from the comfortable spaces of an insensitive society that constantly indulges in excesses while avoiding the pain and discomfort of those who suffer and bring with them. The poisonous political climate in which we live today, fueled by painful ideological polarization, does not contribute to having a serious conversation about immigration in our neighborhoods and in our faith communities. So, with this overview, let us now look at the idea of moving towards communion in an increasingly Hispanic church in what I want to call some moral imperatives. The previous overview of Hispanic Catholics of who Hispanic Catholics are, along with some of the most significant challenges that we face as a community in the United States, paves the way to ask my last and perhaps most important question in this lecture. What are some of the most urgent imperatives that we all have as a Catholic community when confronted with the reality of half the church, this particular population? And I want to address these questions as a practical theologian using what I want to call an ecclesiological sense. In other words, the moral imperatives that emerge from the commitment of embracing our Hispanic Latino identity as U.S. Catholics will be mediated primarily by just practices that build church. I want to propose briefly 4 such imperatives. 1, the urgency to acknowledge that American Catholicism is increasingly Hispanic. This imperative, this moral imperative, is at the heart of who we are, goes to the heart of who we are as a community of faith in the United States. Some observers have pointed to the quasi-existence of what's called 2 churches, or perhaps several churches in our particular context. The church of those who are established and the church of the newcomers. The white Euro-American church, with its own social and cultural characteristics, and that of everybody else. Whether this nature is perceived or real, the truth is that many Catholic communities at the grassroots level function in practice as parallel churches. This is more evident in many of the so-called shared parishes or multicultural parishes, which is about 40% of the 17,000 plus Catholic parishes in the United States. However, we must question the use of the term church, quote unquote, in these circumstances. Theologian Carmen Nanco Fernandez reminds us with a strong voice that Hispanics are not the mainstream or the predominant Catholic community's diversity. In other words, Hispanics should not be treated as the difference that is contraposed to the standard in order for such standard to affirm its place in the center. Unless we see ourselves as one church, one community journeying in history, we will not be able to build authentic communion. Therefore, we must challenge the paradigm that treats Hispanics as aliens, foreigners, others. And many of these words, as a matter of fact, make it even into official church documents, which pains me. There is no such a thing as the church welcoming Hispanics and others, or the church changing to accommodate new voices. Ecclesiologically speaking, this is incorrect. There is only one Catholic Church in the United States of America, and that church is